In this video, we're going to talk about simplifying fractions to lowest terms. And we're going to use some of the techniques that we discovered in our last video of finding greatest common factors. So let's look at our first fraction. We have the fraction 3 over 27, 3/27. As you know, 3 is called the numerator of the fraction. 27 is called the denominator. And we're going to look to see what the greatest common factor of 3 and 27 are. Now, if you watched the last video, you know that 3 can be factored as 1 times 3, and that 27 can be factored as 1 and 27, or 3 times 9. So from our last video, we know that the greatest common factor between 3 and 27 is 3. That's the one they have in common, and it's the biggest. So what we're going to do is we're going to write 3 as 1 times 3, and then we're going to write 27. We're going to write as 9 times 3 using the greatest common factor of 3. Now, this 3 over 3 here in a fraction, 3 divided by 3, we know equals 1. So we can effectively reduce those two. And now we have that 3 over 27 is 1/9 times 1, or 1/9. And 1/9 then is our simplest form of the fraction 3 over 27. Similarly, we're going to do this next fraction. This is 5/20. We know that 5 is 1 times 5. 5 is a prime number. This is the only way that we can factor it. And we know that 20 is 4 times 5. So again, they have 5s in common as the greatest common factor. So we can reduce those because that equals to 1. And so that leaves with 1/4 as our fraction in lowest terms. Now let's look at 16 over 24. Some students, it's not so easy to see what the common factor between 16 and 24 is. So when the numbers start getting a little bit bigger, or if your multiplication tables aren't really strong, then just use some of the things you know about these numbers. For example, you know that both of these numbers are even, so you know that 2 goes into both of them. So we can start by writing 16 as 2 times 8 and 24 as 2 times 12. Now we know from our previous work that these 2's are going to reduce. They give us 1. So our fraction is now 8/12. But it's always good to check to see if that's in lowest terms. And we're going to notice that again, these are 2 even numbers. So we can repeat this process. 8 is 2 times 4. 12 is 2 times 6. So we know we have these 2's in common. So these 2's are going to reduce. And, well, we have 4, 6. But again, 4, 6 are even numbers, so we're going to write 4 as 2 times 2 and 6 as 2 times 3. Again, we're going to reduce these two numbers. Those 2's reduce, and I think we've gotten to our final answer, which is 2/3. 2 and 3 are both prime, and they don't have common factors other than 1. So we're done. Okay, now we're going to try 60 over 105, and these are kind of big numbers. But we know that numbers that end in 60 and 5, or the numbers that end in 0 and 5, rather, 5 goes into both of those. So let's take out a 5. Let's divide out a 5 from those two numbers. So 60 is 5 times 12, and 105 is 5 times 21. So we can reduce those 5's. We can reduce these 5s. That leaves us with 12 over 21. And those can be reduced further because they both are in the 3's table. So let's take out a 3. So 12 is 3 times 4. And 21 is 3 times 7. And we're going to reduce those 3's. Those reduced. And we're left with 4/7. 7 is prime and only be divided as written as 1 times 7, and 7 doesn't go into 4, so we are done.